everybody, and welcome in to the Wednesday edition of Darkness Radio. It's Supernatural News and Parashare. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Got an exciting show today. Lots of news. Chock-a-block full of news today. Lots of good stuff today. With that, I'm going to need a co-hostess. So what I do is I reach across the Twin Cities on a beautiful day, by the way. 50 degrees outside. It is a beautiful week this week. I'm going to send up the signal. It was sent to me, by the way, by the Hindustan Times. It says Superstar right across it. Wow, she may have a new nickname. I send out the signal, and it calls her from across the Twin Cities. It says three-time Hindustan bestseller on it. Superstar. Ladies and gentlemen, she's intelligent, she's witty, she's funny, she's easy on the eyes, and she has plenty of facts to tell us about today's program. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is, Jessica Freeburg. Hi, Jess. How you doing?
Hey, I'm so great today. I'm freaking loving this weather.
Isn't it wonderful?
Oh my gosh. We were freezing our nose hairs off last week, and now you walk outside. It's just glorious.
I went outside for a little bit today. I'm ashamed to say I did have one string of bright white Christmas lights that were up on the porch, and I took them down today. It was February. I left them up till February.
Perfect day to do it.
Yeah, I know. I waited until it was 50 out to do it. But that's finally down. So my neighbors finally shook their fist in righteous indignation and said, it's about time.
We have someone down the street who still turns theirs on.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, they have little kids and they're very Griswold. Like they have like so much during actual holiday, and it's slowly like piece by piece by piece they start to turn them off. So I think the kids must like really love them and like convince them to leave them on a little longer.
Or they're just really lazy and just decided, maybe sometime in June when it finally warms up, I'll take them down.
That could be. They put so much effort into putting them out, though. I mean, he's out there with the ladder in the back of his truck, climbing up the ladder. I'm like, this is not safe. He's going to fall off and die.
Well, that's probably why he's waiting until it's warm. He wants the snow off the ground so he doesn't slip, fall, and kill himself.
Yeah, probably exactly. So the things we do for our children.
Very true. Very true. So, yeah. So I went outside and I enjoyed for a couple of minutes. I even put seeds in the dishes in the nut hut just in case. I know there's squirrels out there that are probably mad at me because I haven't fed them in months, but they got to get along on their own. So I know Arnold, the big fat squirrel, is probably out there. He's probably lost about 40, 50 pounds. So
he's a normal size of a normal squirrel now?
He's normal size, yeah. He didn't have to have Ozempic after all. So he's probably normal size at this point. So he needs to fatten up a little bit, I'm sure, after this harsh winter. Yeah. So I put out a little treat for Arnold today. So those of you who were worried about Arnold no longer need to be. I'm sure he'll be fine. So he's got a dish of seeds. So there you go. There's that.
He'll be excited.
He better be. That's all I got to say about that. So that's that update. You're updated on Arnold now. I'm sure most of you were worried. You were worried sick about him, but he's good. He's good. So there you go. But big show today, Jess. We have lots and lots and lots of things to update you on today, including potential danger ahead should the UFO files be released and JFK files be released. So we'll talk about that, having to do with heavens to Murgatroyd damaging relations with our fellow neighbors. I know, go figure. Like maybe that hasn't already been done. We'll tell you a little bit about how Robbie Williams has switched his focus from UFOs to psychics.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, we all gotta change our focus sometimes. So that'll come up in today's show. A dad sees a ghostly figure on camera as he returns from work in spine-chilling footage. We'll talk to you about that as well today. We have the creepiest story ever about Satanists and deer heads.
Ew.
Yeah. You got that to look forward to today. That'll be fun. I just, figured I'd pull one of those out for you. We actually have, speaking of creepy, a story about what researchers found when they put their heads near mummies, they'll tell you what they actually smell like.
Ew. I don't think I want to know.
Hey, I told you we were going exploring today. You know, it's an interesting show today. We'll also tell you how, in kind of some strange and bizarre news, how a camper ended up upside down in France. Evidently, they don't drive well in France. And there's a brand new sensation in Chicago for your palate cleanser today. Let's just say this one will have you laughing.
You always have me laughing, Tim.
So yeah, it's you'll be surprised what the brand new sensation in Chicago is. That's for sure. And we'll leave it at that. But first, let's tell you a little bit about what we started off with, to tease you with. The fact that a UFO expert says that President Trump's declassification of not only the UFO files, but the JFK files could expose possible cover-ups that span decades. I know you're saying, well, duh, Tim. That's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to do, Tim. An expert on UFOs says President Donald Trump's move to declassify decades-old government files on UFOs could reveal a potential cover-up and expose many federal secrets. The government for decades has investigated UFOs. I think it's undeniable that the government has looked at this for decades. They've had multiple programs, says former UK Defense Ministry official and UFO expert Nick Pope. He told that to Fox News Digital. The CIA, he says a lot of people believe that there is a smoking gun somewhere in those files. It's a very widely held belief that elements in the U.S. intelligence community know that some of this is extraterrestrial and have documents and files relating to this. And that, of course, is what everyone really wants to know. That's the $64,000 question, according to Nick. The CIA told Fox News Digital it has made records available to the public for decades and that they can be accessed on our website. We would refer further guidance to the DOD and DNI. Fox News Digital reached out to the Department of Defense and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Pope added, the big question on many Americans' minds is what's going on, and is any of this extraterrestrial? I think this is where President Trump's instincts come into play, because I think we've seen in this second term that he's moving much more quickly than in the first term. And he's recognizing things that are not necessarily flagged up in the opinion polls as big election issues, which is obviously focused on the big things like the economy and the border. But he's got that kind of popular touch, Pope said. He understands. He's got his finger on the pulse of what ordinary Americans are interested in and want. Pope shared that some of the intel in the files could hold information about real threats to our country. It's definitely a threat or a potential threat, particularly because of the pilots, the radar operators, the intelligence community personnel who have looked at some of these cases consistently. They say that these things are displaying speeds, maneuvers, and accelerations that make the best of our aircraft look like kids' toys, Pope explained. So an adversary has made a quantum leap in which the United States needs to know about that and close the gap pretty darn quickly. Or is there something else in our skies, Pope said. Pope shared that Trump has been briefed on these files and understands that American people have a deep desire to know what is going on and where their money is being invested, mentioning that rumors have spread through open hearings in Congress where whistleblowers have testified about the existence of legacy intelligence community and acknowledged special access programs looking at UFOs going back decades to Roswell in 1947. If these rumors are true, and like I said, people have testified, people who are who they say they are, have testified under oath in Congress that this is all real, that we have recovered craft and even bodies. If this is true, and this is a cover-up, this conspiracy has been going on for nearly 80 years. How many billions of dollars of taxpayers' money has gone into trying to keep this secret, trying to figure out what this technology is, Pope said. Pope referred to Republicans and Democrats working together on this in Congress and the creation of a new oversight task force focused on the declassification of materials in the public interest, including the client list of Jeffrey Epstein and files related to September 11th, 2001, COVID origins, UFOs, and more. I'm not saying that this is going to be UAP specific, but clearly Any oversight task force may get into UAP as well. This is showing how fast moving this whole subject is and how much interest there is in it, Pope went on to say. This comes in response to Trump signing an executive order to declassify files on the assassinations of former President John F. Kennedy, his brother Robert F. Kennedy, and civil rights icon Martin Luther King Jr. Trump, obviously is going to have his legacy written large for all sorts of great reasons, but this would be the icing on the cake, Pope went on to say, and surely no president could resist that. To be the disclosure president, that would be amazing, Pope went on to say. Everyone else has been picking away at the knot. He will just cut through it, Pope said, and maybe Elon Musk will help him with this. If there is this multi-decade conspiracy, they will find it, they will expose it, and they will release it to the people. It's an issue that would kind of unite everyone, I think, because who wouldn't be interested in this? Representative Anna Paulina Luna, a Republican from Florida, will lead the new task force focused on the declassification of federal secrets and other documents in the public interest. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer of Kentucky appointed Luna to chair the task force on the declassification of federal secrets. For too long, the federal government has kept information of public interest classified, and the American people are demanding greater transparency. The secrecy has sowed distrust in our institutions, Comer told Fox News Digital. He noted that the task force will build on the Trump administration's efforts to declassify records of national importance and ensure Americans get the answers that they deserve. Representative Luna is committed to shining a light on the truth and ending the era of secrecy, Comer said. It's time to let the sunlight in and provide answers that the American public has long demanded. Luna told Fox News Digital that the task force is expected to announce members of the team in the coming weeks. We will work alongside President Trump and his cabinet members to deliver truth to the American people, he said. From this moment forward, we will restore trust through transparency. So with that, Jess, that brings up the huge question. We keep hearing about transparency. Do you think there will be actual transparency this time around?
That is the $1 million question, Tim, that we keep wondering about. If there ever is going to be transparency, I think it would be now. So yeah. I think there's a chance of it. I don't know if it's in our best interest to have total transparency, though. I mean, there's probably certain things that we don't need to expose to the world, like, shady happenings in the background. Like, we don't need to make people mad at us more than they already are. I don't know.
There's a lot of that out there right now, isn't there?
It makes me a little nervous.
There's and we mentioned it on a previous program, there's supposedly, and according to our friend John over at theblackvault.com, and I encourage you, if you ever want to read as much as there is out there right now, especially on the JFK assassination, on the RFK assassination, on UFO files, if you ever want to take that deep dive, I'm not talking about just cursory stuff on YouTube or whatever. I mean, that'll fill your head full of junk. If you actually want to read the stuff that's out there, Freedom of Information Act stuff, go to theblackvault.com. Read the actual documents. You'll find whatever it is you're looking for right there in black and white, stuff that the government's actually put out there that's actually been released. But one of the things that John has pointed out, and he has a wonderful podcast of his own over there, is that the idea is that there's the reason why the rest of the stuff hasn't been put out mainly is because there still are a few people that are still alive that need to be protected. And that there may be, especially when it comes to the JFK files, there's speculation. This is only speculation. The speculation is that there might have been some dirty tricks played by the U.S. and Mexico in an agreement between the two countries. Now, it's not like Mexico right now, we're on great terms with them. They're not necessarily our best friend right now. But it's not necessarily that the relationship would be damaged between the two countries, but we might have left some spies hanging from Britain and France. And what we did to them would damage our relationship with Britain and France so irretrievably between those two countries that they might not be allies with us anymore. I mean, that's how bad these dirty tricks were that happened in the era of Bay of Pigs. And it might surround the Castro assassination attempt.
See, and that's what makes me nervous. Like, do we really want that stuff exposed? Like, I want to know about the alien stuff. Like, give it all to me, But like, I don't know. There's certain things that I think maybe are better left unknown in our lifetimes. Maybe, 100 years from now when we're long gone. I don't know. It makes me nervous, I guess.
But that sort of stuff might be timeless, Jess,
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, think to yourself this. I mean, those alliances go on for decades and decades, hundreds of years, right? I mean, that you have to ask yourself when a bond is formed and it's strong like that, and those alliances go on for hundreds of years, tens of years, decades, centuries, and you do something to betray that trust, is it irrevocably or irretrievably broken at some point when you don't tell 50, 60, 70 years down the line if you don't tell a secret?
Yeah, and then the secret comes out and it makes you look bad because you did something bad or, whatever. I don't know.
If you just go about your business and business as usual, and then you don't say, hey, you know what? We really screwed up back in the 1960s. Sure, it's 80 years later, but I'm sorry, not 80 years later, 60 years later. But we didn't mean to go on this long. But hey, you know what? We needed to clear the slate with our people. That's kind of narcissistic, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, good looking out, but thanks for nothing. Especially since you've been through world wars together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes you find out that you've been betrayed by someone that you really trusted. And you can't get over that.
Yeah. So
bad stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what you do there. So maybe it's one of those things, and you never know. I mean, it hasn't been released yet. There's still people talking in the president's ear. So maybe it doesn't get released. At least not the JFK stuff. I mean, and there's still a good chance that maybe all the alien stuff isn't released either. There's still a reason why all the alien stuff hasn't been released. And I still contend half this country can't deal with it.
Oh, I think so too. I think it would be horrifying to people if they knew for fact that aliens were real. I think there are certain people that would absolutely lose their minds.
And I think
they'd be so scared.
I think it has somewhat to do with some of the guests we've had on in the last couple of weeks. And it has a lot to do with the fact that the government itself said no to a deal to aliens, but the military industrial complex said sure, and made a deal with aliens to experiment on us.
Oh, that would be, that'd be bad. See, I don't know. There's certain things I don't need to know. It's kind of like as a child and you start to learn about the birds and the bees, your mom and dad got it on, but you don't need to know the details. Like, that's how I feel about some of this stuff.
Yeah. And to think that maybe the country isn't run by the government, but it's run by the military industrial complex.
Yeah.
And that the government's just feeding the military industrial complex? Does that change the way you think about things?
Yeah. It's a little much. It's a little much for us to handle.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss.
Then there's truly a shadow government, and it's not what you think it is.
Yeah, that's scary.
So,
Ugh.
something to think about.
Worse than AI.
Yeah, something to think about. Our next story has to do with a story that asks, are we alone? Intelligent life may be more common than what we thought. Again, kind of along that theory of, could America handle it if they knew that intelligent life was, if we were surrounded by it, right? Yeah. Well, there's a new Penn State study that suggests that same thing, that, hey, we're not alone. And we know for a fact that we're not. A new study from Penn State challenges the long-held belief that intelligent life is rare, suggesting instead that it may be more probable than previously assumed. In 1961, astrophysicist Frank Drake introduced the Drake equation, a mathematical framework designed to estimate the likelihood of technologically advanced civilizations in the Milky Way and their potential for communication. This equation marked a major shift in how humanity perceives its place in the cosmos. By 2023, advances in exoplanet science, astrobiology, and SETI research led to refinements of Drake's original formula. Among these, Canadian astrophysicist Sarah Seeger introduced an alternative equation focusing not just on intelligent life, but also on detecting biosignatures, which are chemical indicators of biological activity. Previously, theoretical physicists had approached the question differently. In 1983, physicist Brandon Carter proposed the hard steps model, which argued that life is extremely rare due to a series of improbable evolutionary leaps, or hard steps, necessary for complex organisms to emerge. Carter suggested that Earth's sequence of evolutionary milestones was exceptionally unlikely. The new Penn State study revisits this model, offering a fresh perspective on the idea that life may be more common than Carter originally proposed. Beyond mathematical formulas, scientists have long explored planetary habitability using the concept of Goldilocks zones, regions around stars where conditions are just right for liquid water, and potentially life. While the term gained widespread use in the 1990s and 2000s, it was first introduced by Stephen H. Dole in his 1964 book, Habitable Planets for Man, published by the Rand Corporation. Dole examined factors like temperature, atmosphere, and liquid water in determining planetary habitability. More recently, Sarah Seeger expanded on the ideas by introducing Hycean worlds, which are a class of exoplanets with hydrogen-rich atmospheres and vast ocean-covered surfaces that could potentially support life. Now, in their recent paper, the research team composed of Daniel B. Mills, Jennifer L. McAlady, Adam Frank, and Jason T. Wright is reassessing the hard steps model by taking a critical look at several of its core assumptions with a view rooted in historical geobiology. This is a significant shift in how we think about the history of life, said Jennifer McAlady, who is a professor of geosciences at Penn State and co-author of the new paper. The study suggests that the evolution of complex life may be less about luck and more about the interplay between life and its environment, opening up exciting new avenues of research in our quest to understand our origins and our place in the universe, McAlady said. The research team, composed of astrophysicists and geobiologists, explored the idea that early Earth was initially too harsh for many forms of life. Evolutionary milestones only occurred once the global environment became suitable. For example, the oxygenation process, driven by photosynthetic microbes and bacteria, was a key event in Earth's evolution. It created atmospheric conditions necessary for complex life to emerge, according to Dan Mills, a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Munich and lead author of the paper. Mills went on to say, we're arguing that intelligent life might or may not require a series of lucky breaks to exist. Mills, who worked with McAlady's astrobiology lab at Penn State as an undergraduate researcher, says humans didn't evolve early or late in Earth's history, but on time when conditions were in place. Perhaps it's only a matter of time, or maybe other planets are able to achieve these conditions more rapidly than Earth did, while other planets might take even longer. The study introduces the idea that Earth's habitability followed a sequence of windows of habitability, or periods when conditions became favorable for life. These shifts were controlled by factors such as nutrient availability, sea surface temperature, ocean salinity, and atmospheric oxygen levels. The researchers concluded that Earth's only recently stabilized into a state that could support complex life. We're taking the view that rather than base our predictions on the lifespan of the sun, we should use a geological timescale, because that's how long it takes for the atmosphere and landscape to change. That, according to Jason Wright, who's professor of astronomy and astrophysics at Penn State and co-author of the paper. So it sounds like what they're saying here, Jess, is life on Earth hasn't always been existent for the life of the planet, that it had to hit this Goldilocks zone in order for us to exist, that life on Earth was harsh at one point and life couldn't exist for this period of time. We hit a Goldilocks zone and here we are. Right. But life hasn't always been here because the Earth couldn't support it.
And so will other planets hit a Goldilocks zone?
That could be. That maybe these other planets haven't hit their Goldilocks zone yet. And that's why there isn't life on some of these other planets. Which makes me wonder if this Goldilocks zone that we're in, eventually maybe we move off the Goldilocks zone. And maybe, much like, fleas on a dog, the dog kicks them off eventually. Maybe that's what the planet Earth does. Maybe the planet Earth kicks that Goldilocks zone out.
It could be.
Maybe it only holds that zone for so long and then we're done.
Hopefully it's many thousands of years from now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you look at Mars, right? Supposedly Mars had an atmosphere at one time. Mars had water, and Mars was a functioning planet millions of years ago. But it's no longer.
Potentially, maybe humanity originated in Mars. I mean, we don't know.
Right.
Hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Right. Like you said, we don't know. We don't know. I do have a story that's a little bit creepy. This, according to some scientists as well, life as we don't know it, they're saying that some aliens that may be out there may need sulfuric acid like we need water.
Oh.
How would you like to run into one of these aliens?
Oh, that sounds pretty harsh.
And they're doing this like agua, and you go to hand them some H2O and they're like, acid.
Yes, sulfuric acid, please.
Yeah. According to one scientist, even very complex organic chemistry is compatible with concentrated sulfuric acid. Eee. Like life as we know it needs water, right? But life as we don't know it may run on concentrated sulfuric acid. The chemistry of life as we know it wouldn't work in a place like the huge Saturn moon Titan, where it's so cold that ice behaves more like rock, or in the acidic clouds of Venus. But a different chemistry, which builds all the requisite pieces out of different materials, might have a shot. Imagine cells that use methane, sulfuric acid, or even molten rock, the way your cells use water. According to a 2021 study by Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, molecular biologist William Baines and his colleagues, it turns out that if we're looking for life as we don't know it, the best solvent out there may be concentrated sulfuric acid, the stuff that's floating around in the clouds of Venus. So yeah, you could have life on Venus.
Yikes.
Yeah. At the most basic level, life is just a series of chemical reactions. Those reactions need a medium in which to occur, which chemists call a solvent, something fluid enough that molecules can float around and mingle. And there needs to be a lot of it in one place. But not just any liquid will do. A solvent also needs to help break down and transport the chemicals that cells need to live, without also dissolving important molecules like lipids and amino acids. Now, here on Earth, water fits the bill perfectly. but it may not be the only liquid in the universe capable of supporting the chemistry of life. In a new study, Baines and his colleagues rated several possible solvents based on how they interact with the chemical building blocks of life and how common that they should be on rocky planets. Candidates range from the liquid forms of methane and ethane, ammonia and carbon dioxide, to even stranger possibilities like pitch and molten rock. The surprising champion is a chemical that we Earthlings often think of as painfully hostile to life, which is concentrated sulfuric acid. Ouch.
Well, the aliens just want to go suck on my car battery.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if you ever want to rehydrate an alien, that's probably it. Sulfuric acid. According to MIT astrobiologist Janusz Petkowski, that's what it is, Janusz Petkowski, even very complex organic chemistry is compatible with concentrated sulfuric acid. By the way, this new study was published in December in the journal Astrobiology, according to space.com. There's some runners-up. We can mention them briefly. According to the dark seas of Titan, methane and ethane gases, at the temperatures we find here on Earth, they qualify somewhere around minus 250 degrees Fahrenheit if you wanted to get an alien going there.
So like a frozen fart?
Yes, like a frozen fart. That would get some life forms going. On the other end of there you go. On the other end of the spectrum, molten rock is out because the tremendous heat required to keep the rock liquid and break down nearly all organic molecules. Some chemicals like ammonia have all the right properties to make good solvents for life's chemistry to happen, but it may not matter because the same processes that equip a rocky planet with ammonia are also likely to stock it with water. So when that happens, the two substances almost inevitably mix. So you might as well just use the water. Yeah.
Science is so complicated.
It is complicated. So there's that as well. So in the end, it's either water or sulfuric acid. Take your pick. You're either, what is it? You're either acidic or you're alkaline.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with water.
Yeah,
I get to pick.
I'll take water any day. I don't need to drink a battery. I'm good.
I feel like it would be hard on our skin too.
Yeah, there's that. There's definitely that. Our next story has to do with a mystery as anomalous deep space signals are traced to a long dead galaxy. The signals have been inexplicably traced back to a galaxy that's been dormant for billions of years. Astronomers have been attempting to get to the bottom of a galactic mystery that seems to transcend our understanding of the cosmos, and it all has to do with mysterious cosmic eruptions that appear to be originating in a galaxy that shouldn't be able to produce anything like them. Typically known as fast radio bursts, these intense flashes last mere milliseconds, yet can generate as much energy as the sun does in an entire day. Astronomers have seen them elsewhere in the cosmos, but these particular examples, which seem to trace back to a galaxy that has been dead for 11 billion years, pose a rather perplexing mystery. It's believed that these fast radio bursts accompany supernova explosions, but these are usually found only in relatively young galaxies where stars are still being formed. Of the thousands of FRBs discovered to date, only about 100 have been pinpointed to their host galaxies. Study co-author, I believe it is Terminator Ep25. I think I nailed that one, Jess.
You absolutely nailed it.
Told Live Science. And those galaxies tend to have a lot of star formation, which means more stars are going supernova. So how is it that these particular bursts have originated from a galaxy that is long dead? Well, Ep25, I think I did better that time, says this observation from a very dead galaxy tells us that there needs to be some other way for an FRB to be produced. This discovery goes against the nicer picture that we've had of FRBs so far. So what could be responsible? Well, as things stand, the answer remains a complete mystery. So we're going to leave you hanging on that one. How do you like them apples?
Lots of mysteries today, Tim.
Lots of mysteries. Hey, speaking of mysteries and urban legends and whatnot, I got to remind you guys, in case you forgot, that over on our website, darknessradioshow.com, if you haven't tuned in lately, you should, to Urban Legends and Stranger Truths with Bob Dennis.
Ooh.
Just saying. It's 5 minutes a day. That's it. You get your little snippet, of Urban Legends and Stranger Truths. Today, Bob's talking about the killer asteroid that's headed for Earth, the one that we don't know whether it's a 3% chance, 2% chance, or 1% chance of hitting us. Now there's a 1% chance that it could potentially hit the moon.
Oh, that'd be bad too. So if I want to listen to that, do I just go on the website and there's a link for it on there that I can click?
It's got its own page right there on darknessradioshow.com. So if you look at the top on darknessradioshow.com, you'll see a tab for Urban Legends Stranger Truths with Bob Dennis. Just click on that and it'll bring you to the page on the website, and you'll see a swell player there. That's the actual player, the swell player. And you can click on any of the episodes there. The first episode that shows up is today's episode, and then it'll take you to a swell player and a swell website. Swell, by the way, is a player that's associated with Apple.
It sounds swell.
It is swell. Thanks, Jess. Boy, nice tee up for that one. But you can go to Swell and you can listen to all the episodes there. What's really cool about Swell is you can interact with Bob. So,
Ooh.
Yeah. So you can ask him questions about his episodes, and he responds to you, and he responds to you by voice. So you can send a voice note. He can send you one back.
That's so fun.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I'm going to check that out.
Yeah. So check out Urban Legends, Stranger Truths with Bob Dennis. You can do that by going to darknessradioshow.com. So there you go. You can talk about the asteroid. That's today's episode, by the way. So check that out. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. Our next story. We just got done talking about FRBs or FERBs. I believe we have one or two more stories here. I think we have one more story before break. Yes, one more story before break. Conspiracy theories surround a weird image of a black hole in the Pacific. Normally when we talk about black holes, we're talking about them in space.
Yeah.
This is in the ocean.
Whoa.
And actually, I have a picture of it here, Jess. You ready for this? That is what a black hole in the middle of the ocean looks like. Now, if I would have seen that on the Jericho cruise, I would have probably thrown somebody overboard into it.
Yeah.
I'm not naming names. I'm just saying. Just to see.
That's scary looking.
Just to see if they would have came back. Isn't that something?
Wow. That's a new thing I can be terrified of. Thank you, Tim.
Yeah. I mean, that's why staying on land is a good thing. I'm just saying. An image of a strangely black and featureless anomaly captured on Google Earth has been gaining renewed attention this week. It was photographed by satellite in the middle of the expansive waters of the Pacific Ocean in 2021, and this perplexing oddity has been doing the rounds again on social media recently. Resembling a pitch-black triangular formation miles from anywhere, the phenomenon has sparked various conspiracy theories about space-time anomalies, secret projects, and even alien visitors. Some even suggested it was a large opening into the bowels of the Earth. In the middle of the ocean, really? Just
anything's possible.
Anything's possible. As it turns out, however, this peculiar feature is little more than an optical illusion. What it actually...
thank God.
Yeah, I know, right? What it actually shows is an island that is completely covered with trees, which happens to be so densely packed together that they appear to be a single black shape on the satellite image.
Get out of here. Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to go to that island. There's probably lots of monkeys there.
Right?
Yeah.
Although the monkeys could never hit the floor, they'd be in the trees the entire time.
We'd have to learn how to swing in the trees, Tim.
That's right. I'm telling you. Known as Vostok Island, the small island mass is one of 33 that make up the Republic of Kiribati in the South Pacific, approximately 4,000 miles from the coast of Australia. I think, is Kiribati the one where they do land? I saw this on Dan Aykroyd's program the other day, where they do the land jumping or the land. You know what I'm talking about? It's like bungee jumping, but land.
Ooh.
Oh no, it's not an ooh thing. Like it's a tribal passage thing for males, where you can die from it.
That sounds scary.
You tie the vines to your ankles, and they're stretchy vines,
Okay.
and you go up on a tower up 100 feet, and then it's a rite of passage when you become a young man, and then you're supposed to fling yourself off the tower, and if you hit the mud, and you don't come back, you're dead. If you manage to just touch the ground lightly, you've passed, and then you become a man. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a kind of a hard way to pass puberty. Just saying.
Puberty's hard enough.
Right. It's kind of hard getting through that. There was another one too. There's another rite of passage. I don't think it was Kiribati. I think it was. I'm trying to remember where it was. Where they take these ants and they put them in gloves. And these ants sting, and then they require these villagers, these male villagers, to put these gloves, these ant gloves on, and they sting, and they fill the gloves with ants. Now, one sting is, I'm trying to remember what the equivalent of. It's like a gunshot or something like that. The sting is, but so one ant, one sting, equivalent of a gunshot, pain wise.
Yeah.
But they fill the gloves full of ants, and then they put them on both hands. And then they wear them for something like 20 minutes, right? Or is it 10 minutes?
Crazy.
I think it's 10 minutes. But they do it 20 times. So you have to do this 20 times. So they take them off after 10 minutes, and then they dance around. There's like, this guy dances around with like 10 other guys, and they do this little dance in a circle for 10 minutes, and then they remove it. And then he does it 20 more times.
Oh my gosh.
And then after he does that, he's a man. I'd rather become a man in America.
I would say.
The old fashioned.
I mean, fair though, the women there have to give childbirth, without anything, so all you got to do is have your hands bitten by ants. Fair
all
trade.
you have to do. That's like 100,000 gunshots to your hands 20 times.
I still think delivering a baby is probably worse.
It's not. You know why? Because your hands have the most nerve endings in your body.
That's true. We've talked about that before.
Yeah. So your hands are getting stung by these ants, these that have a gunshot, Jess. Bing, 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 bing. And what they do is they drug up these ants so that they can put them in the gloves. But then when they wake up, they're really pissed. And then, boom, you put them. Yeah. So they prime them. They get them ready.
Well, I'd rather do that ant one than the one where you jump off a freaking cliff and either you die or you don't.
It's not a cliff. It's a tower. It's a specially built tower. It's 100 feet high. And then they're like, okay, go ahead.
No, I don't like that at all. Okay.
Yeah.
How did we get here? This island.
Oh, because Kiribati. I was talking about the South Pacific. Yeah, this black hole. Yeah. So in total, the island covers a mere 0.1 square miles. That's out there in the ocean, that little triangle.
That's wild that it looks like that, though. It really does look like a black hole. It does not look like trees.
So now that I've said that, and I zoom in on it, can you see the trees?
Yeah. I mean, now that you say that, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, now that I've said that, you can almost see the trees in the picture, can't you?
Perspective is everything, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? So there you go. All right. With that being said, kids, that's the first half of the program. When we come back, you thought the T-800 was just in a movie. You thought it was just in Terminator, and it's not real life. Well, guess what?
Great.
Skynet's alive. I'll tell you about it when we come back. Yeah, your worst nightmares come true. That's right. Also, when we come back, we got some ghost stories that we'll tell you about. A deer's head was left by Satanists at a church. We'll tell you about that when we come back. Fun stuff. We'll also have a story about why a burst of brain activity after death could be your soul leaving the body.
Ooh.
Some scientific proof of life after death. When we come back, researchers reveal what a mummy smells like. We'll tell you what exactly it smells like. I doubt it's fresh flowers at a market. We'll tell you what exactly that smell is. And to end the program today, your palate cleanser is Chicago's newest viral sensation. We'll tell you what they're obsessing about in Chicago in the wintertime. That's coming up next. You're listening to Supernatural News and Parashare right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio on a Wednesday. Supernatural News and Parashare. Tim Dennis and Jessica Freeburg with you. Jess, it is so nice outside. If we could do the show outside, I think we do the show outside.
Oh, that would be glorious. I mean, it really is. You walk outside and it just smells like spring.
It does. I went outside to get the mail. I also went outside to get the mail today, and I think I scared the heck out of the neighbor dog. A lady was walking her dog. Now, this is what's weird. Okay, so we have a weird custom here in Minnesota. When it gets the slightest bit warm, we all rush outside to go walk, right? Which may seem weird to people. When we think 50 degrees is warm, we think it's extremely warm outside. And most people in southern states and in anywhere south of the Mason-Dixon line, 50 is extremely freezing.
Right.
They're like, oh, no, I'm not going for a walk anywhere. 50 here, when you've been dealing with below zero temperatures, is like an 80-degree day to us, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. I went outside yesterday in a t-shirt and I didn't even feel cold. I mean, I could have stood out there all day. My husband was wearing shorts. Mm-hmm. He had a puffer vest, which he looked so ridiculous. I'm like, you're so Minnesota right now.
Yes, that's
and flip-flops. And he had flip-flops.
And flip-flops. Yeah, that sounds about right. I went out in a sweatshirt and shorts. Because it's absolutely beautiful out.
But we're just so excited. We're like, it's not freezing.
Right. And your blood is so thick, it's prego pretty much at that point.
Yeah.
In the winter.
For real.
Right. So I went out to get the mail, and there's this huge white dog. Huge. I don't know what you call it. It's mixed between a retriever and I don't know, a Great Dane. I don't know. It was gorgeous dog.
Yeah.
But it looked at me like there shouldn't be anybody alive right now out on the street. I think it's been out all winter, probably out going to the bathroom, hasn't seen humanity. And finally saw its first human and was like, whoa, but gave me that look, right? And I was just like, hi. It was like, whoa. And it actually ran across to the other side of the street because it had no idea there were other humans that were alive at this point in the winter time. But I was like, oh, don't be afraid, buddy. It's just me. I'm just getting my mail. But it was cute, just the reaction. Just that just tells you how cold it's been this year.
That's how I feel when I see people.
That you just run across to the other side of the street. What? No.
Other humans? It's so weird.
But it was funny because his owner was on the phone talking the entire time and was wearing, get this, here's the getup she was wearing. Heavy ski hat, ski goggles, like sunglass goggles, but I'm talking goggles, like she was going to go skiing. Heavy puffer coat, shorts.
Yes. I knew shorts were coming. It's true. It gets 50 and we're like, time for shorts.
I don't get the whole I'm skiing on a mountain top, but shorts on the bottom. So
my daughter was the opposite when she was skiing, though, because she went on Saturday and they were out there from 11 in the morning until like 8:30 at night. They were there all day. And she was just wearing, the snow gear on the bottom, but up top she was sweating. So she didn't have a coat on or anything.
Oh, my gosh. See, I don't blame her. I don't blame her. But you know what they say, whatever makes you happy, I guess. It just... See, I shouldn't have said that.
Nope. You don't get to be happy, Tim.
I don't get to be happy. The minute I say happy, it triggers the AI music. You should know by now, Jess. This next story is not going to make anybody happy. I'll tell you that. Turns out that a company in Poland, I know, I'm going to say Polish robot, and people are going to send in jokes. That's just the way it's going to go. But a company in Poland has created a creepy synthetic human Protoclone, which, believe it or not, is another step towards the T-800. I'm going to show you a picture here, Jess, that is going to creep you the F out. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
That is
God.
the Protoclone. How would you like to have one of those come at you in the middle of the night as you're sleeping in bed?
No. What do they want to do with that? Terrify people?
How would you like to have that serve you dinner?
No.
Isn't that
Keep that away from me.
Isn't that creepy?
Hideous. Yes.
That's weird.
Like a demon robot.
It does look like a demon robot, doesn't it? So
I freaking hate that. I'm going to have nightmares now.
this company in Poland has created a humanoid robot with lifelike synthetic muscles and translucent skin.
Oh, gross.
Why?
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right. In the Terminator movies, Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 is comprised of a solid metal endoskeleton surrounded by living tissue, giving him the appearance of a normal human. Now, Polish startup Clone Robotics has come up with a prototype for a new type of robot that could easily be imagined as a stepping stone towards something very similar to the T-800. Known as Protoclone, terrible name, by the way, the robot has been described as a synthetic human that has a body that looks a lot like a human, like actual human flesh, with synthetic skin. I can't even say it because I'm creeped out. With synthetic skin and muscles that are eerily lifelike. In recently released footage, the prototype can be seen suspended from an apparatus while its limbs flail and move around in a disconcertingly realistic manner.
Oh, God.
And I have video, Jess, and I'll post this to the description of the program.
My God.
Yeah.
It sounds like what a serial killer does before they murder someone. Just hangs them suspended from the air.
Yeah.
Yuck.
The fact that its head is just a black visor and little else doesn't exactly help the situation any. Described by the firm as the world's first bipedal musculoskeletal android, Protoclone takes a little bit different approach to most modern robots by trying to emulate the muscles, joints, and ligaments of an actual human body. The Protoclone is a faceless, anatomically accurate synthetic human with over 200 degrees of freedom, over 1,000 myofibers, and over 200 sensors, the firm wrote. The current version is powered by pneumatics, but there are plans to switch this to hydraulics because, it's not creepy enough for you. Whether or not Protoclone represents the future of robotics, however, remains to be seen. Let's see if I can get this to play so you can see exactly just how creepy this is, Jess. Take a look at how creepy this guy is right here.
Oh, my gosh.
Look at that.
Tim, I cannot. This is so disgusting to me.
Isn't it? Yeah, look at that. Huh?
It's so real looking.
Yeah. It's
kind of like he's doing a weird dance.
Yeah. You
kicking out a leg and flexing his foot, moving his fists back and forth. It's kind of like a TikTok dance.
It is, and he's suspended by wires. He is not. It's not like he's not like on the ground.
But it's weird, herky jerky. Like it's almost like, when you watch a horror movie and there's like a dead person moving.
Yeah.
Weirdly, all jerky.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like he's got rigor mortis setting in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rigor mortis on your Protoclone. Wait, that didn't sound right either. Sounds like an insult. But yeah, well, I'll post the video in the description of this program so you can see the Protoclone.
Wild.
You too can own one.
Ugh.
Well, if that isn't disgusting enough for you, maybe this is. A model says that virtual reality is the future of the adult industry, and that you'll be able to smell and feel the action.
Ew.
You want to eat dinner now?
I want to smell it.
Smell it. Smell the Glove. Do you remember Spinal Tap's album, Smell the Glove? Oh, you'll be able to smell and feel the action of the adult industry. Smells like ripe balls is what it smells like. Get ready for that.
Smells sweaty.
Ew. I don't know that that's a selling point, right? Be able to smell the action?
I mean, not for me anyway.
Smells like a rotten cannery in the hot midday sun. That's what it smells like.
It's going to smell like ass.
Yeah, it's going to smell like ass. Melissa Stratton says the virtual reality sex scenes she makes are the future of the industry because the acts will soon be able to be felt or smelled. Yeah, sister, you're not selling this for me at all. I'm not. Yeah. No.
It's really making my gag reflex kick in. Every time you say it.
Melissa Stratton, a 34-year-old adult actress, predicts the future of adult entertainment will be a fully immersive experience where viewers can not only see but also... Don't drink anything yet, Jess. But also feel and smell the action. She started her career as a cam girl in 2021 before moving on to create virtual reality videos with sexlikereal.com. The company aims to provide an immersive experience for viewers wearing headsets, making them feel like they're part of the action. I feel like I should use a sportscaster, a pukey
I like that.
voice.
It's a good touch.
Be right there in the action. You can smell and feel it like you're right there. Ever wanted to be inside a jock? Smell and feel it with sexlikereal.com.
They're going to hire you.
You think so? Think I'll be able to get a gig with them?
I think.
Maybe. That just makes it more disgusting to give it the sports analytical pukey.
It's so gross.
Yeah. Melissa believes VR is the future of the industry and that it may even expand to incorporate senses like taste, smell, and touch through full body suits.
What am I tasting? I don't want to.
You ever wanted to taste what VD tastes like? Open sores. She has found filming VR scenes to be challenging but fun experiences, requiring more endurance in difficult positions.
Oh my!
like a gymnastics meet.
She's a real athlete, Tim.
I guess so. Maybe they'll bring that to the Olympics in 2028. Just saying.
Well, they brought breakdancing, so you never know.
That's right. Hey, VR sex. That's coming up in 2028.
I'll be the lady like the breakdancer that couldn't do any of it.
And then Cam Bynum will do it in the end zone when he makes an interception for the Vikings. He'll do the VR sex in the end zone. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Despite the challenges, Melissa has enjoyed shooting more than 30 VR scenes and has even watched herself having sex in extreme detail on camera. She said, when viewers connect with my work on platforms like sexlikereal.com, thanks for the plug again there, Melissa, they get a taste of what true authenticity feels like during sex. But can they smell it? That's what I want to know.
If I can't taste it, I don't want it.
That's right. That's right, Jess. This immersive real-life experience is redefining the future of the industry. And once people experience it, she says, it may be hard to go back to traditional formats. Oh, no, we can go back. We can go back. Yeah.
I think you'd want traditional. Like, this is like your consolation prize if you can't get traditional, right?
Right. Yeah. No, give me a magazine any day. I'll take that. Yeah. I'll take that right now. I think it provides that personal touch that people are looking for. She said, this is the way to do it. No, not really. You can see so much details, she says. The viewer feels so close to the action. I had to do it that way. Should I do the rest in the puker voice? It's from a point of view that is way more realistic to what an actual setting like this would feel like. Yeah. Does that sell it?
I mean, it's all. I'm sold. I'm sold from the start, Tim.
I think so.
You had me at smell it.
You had me at smell it. Please tell me your kids didn't walk through the door at that point.
Literally, my child did just walk through the door. You could see how cute and innocent she is. Oh,
she's like, "Hi, mommy, I'm home." Smell
she has no idea.
We'll wrap this one up. She said, I think people want to continue to connect with digital media and an online presence, and they want to make it as real as possible. Not like that. No, that's no. You. What if the smell is off just a bit? I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
I mean, how do we know what it's supposed to smell like? Doesn't everyone smell a little different?
Right? I mean, okay. Like for example, I'll give you just a quick example here. Like, okay, I have a Febreze plug-in down here, and I have the smell of lemon. Now we know what a real lemon smells like, right? I mean, we know what real lemon smells like, but you get a Febreze lemon plug-in, and a Febreze lemon plug-in doesn't really smell like lemon. It smells like artificial lemon, and sometimes artificial lemon is kind of cloying. Right. It's not real lemon, and it's
like strawberries. Strawberries don't smell like strawberry scent.
Right. And sometimes it's a little overwhelming. Sometimes it's cloying. Sometimes it's offensive to the senses. Right?
Yeah.
So what if you get on this VR and it's a little cloying to the senses? Maybe
I feel like it's going to be offensive to the senses no matter what.
Just saying. Oh, all right. Meanwhile, this is the last one, I swear. Country bans new Chinese AI over privacy fears and issues of strong warning. That's right. DeepSeek, which is the ChatGPT rival in China, finally has its first country that said, nope, we're done. Yep. And you never know. The U.S. might be right behind it. DeepSeek's R1 reasoning model caused the value of NVIDIA's stock to plummet because you might be able to get the chips cheaper elsewhere. So that was the first thing it did. It collapsed by $600 billion due to it costing much less to produce than its rivals. That according to claims from the Chinese startup. South Korea is the country that banned China's groundbreaking AI model DeepSeek after the app triggered market chaos in the U.S. The East Asian country's national data protection watchdog announced a temporary suspension of the hugely popular software until a review of the Chinese startup's data collection policies are completed. The Personal Information Protection Commission told South Koreans the app had been removed from local markets and access to its web service was suspended at 6 p.m. last Saturday. Local reports say the ban will remain in place until DeepSeek makes changes to ensure compliance within local laws. The app is available to those who have already downloaded it, but officials in Seoul strongly advise them to use the service with caution until the data's watchdog's probe is published. DeepSeek launched its R1 reasoning model with, they claimed, a fraction of the money other rival AI companies were pumping into their models. Last month, the £5 million or $6 million model caused investors to sell off tons of stock in AI companies like ChatGPT and NVIDIA, which produces AI chips. The groundbreaking model has forced the market to reevaluate its stance on AI. The company had effectively produced a better AI model at a fraction of the billions invested into AI by other companies. The Daily Star previously asked DeepSeek about its rivals in China. They say, much to their surprise, it was very polite and talked a lot of sense. It admitted that its home nation, China, has a checkered history with human rights and even refused to badmouth its big rival, which is ChatGPT. So there you go. I'm surprised, Jess, that South Korea was the first one to step up and ban it.
Yeah, I am too, actually. But I don't know. Is it making us better or worse? That's the question.
It's true. It's very true. There was another story too, and I didn't pull this story up, but Grok, which is the one recently launched by Elon Musk's company, the AI model, much like ChatGPT has come out, and they say that one is amazingly nonpartisan as well.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah. It doesn't have any partisan slants at all, which was interesting. So interesting. It's interesting what, and they say it's relatively fast loading, that the money that was put into that was well spent. So
I'll be interested to see how it works.
Yeah. So it's spelled Grok, gay, I'm sorry, not gay, Grok. It was a slip. It was Grok. It was my lips.
Words are hard.
They are hard, especially when you've been reading as much as I've been reading. So there you go. All right, let's move on before I call Grok gay anymore. I'm just saying, gay isn't happy. Yes. Right.
I love the word gay, and I have a friend named Ellen Gay. I'm like, you've the coolest name ever. You're always happy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I meant no disrespect. There you go. Okay. Let's go on to some ghosty stories, shall we? A dad sees a ghostly figure on camera as he returns from work and spine-chilling footage. Aiden Hudson was coming home with two work colleagues when the incident took place, with local residents also sharing their stories. A dad was left with chills down his spine after spotting a ghostly figure walking along a haunted road. Aiden Hudson was on his way home from work when he noticed the eerie shadow. The 26-year-old, who works as a production line worker, said he wasn't aware anyone was walking down Haddiscoe Dam, Norfolk at the time. However, it wasn't until he got home and looked back at his camera when he was filming his journey home that he spotted something. The dad of one saw a dark shadow, which can be seen walking along the road in his footage. Aiden said, "When I watched the video back, it sent chills down my spine. We hadn't spotted anyone, and there were no cars around. If we'd seen someone, then one of us would have pointed it out, but it's unheard of for someone to be walking along that road even in the daytime. It's a treacherous road, and there isn't even a pavement. It's really out of place. I posted the video on social media and didn't think anything of it. When I got home, I watched the video back, and I couldn't believe it." Aiden was with two other colleagues on the journey home when the sighting took place. He added, "I've been doing the journey for about 9 months. I usually film the journey because the fog looks good and it's quite a twisty road. I messaged my colleagues and they hadn't seen anyone either. There were 3 of us and the driver is a really good observant driver. They couldn't believe it either. This isn't the first time local residents have spotted eerie figures walking down the street." Aiden shared, "People from the local area have told me that it's quite a haunted road and there are 5 accidents a year on that road. I'm skeptical," he went on to say. "I have to see it to believe it. That road has had a lot of accidents, so if you're going to see a ghost anywhere, then that road is the place, especially at that time of night." Let's see here. Is there a video accompanying this?
Well, even creepier to see it in the video, like not with your naked eye, but to see it after the fact.
Right,
that makes it even more eerie.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of ads, but I'm not seeing the video. Oh, let's see here. I'm not seeing video on this, Jess. I was going to say, if there's video on this, it's loading kind of slow. So, is there video on this? Is there video? If there is video on this. A lot of ads too. What I'll do is I'll post this again in the description of the program so you guys can take a look at it and tell me what you think for yourself. You tell me if you see the it sounds like Jesse Ventura now. You tell me if you see the shadow or not, and what you think of it. You can send me a note, tim@darknessradio.com. All right. Here's a little bit of an eerie, creepy story. And again, I have a little bit of a problem, and I'll tell you why here at the end of the story after I read this and why I have a bit of a problem with this. Some people may be casting aspersions, but we'll see. Satanists, in quotes, fears after decapitated deer's head is left at a church as lynx made devil worshippers sacrifices. I know it sounds like word salad. Follow me here. Fears are growing that Satanists have struck again as a decapitated deer's head was dumped outside a church in a small New Forest village after sacrificial killings. Let me show you the picture here, Jess, of what they're pointing out. This is the picture of the decapitated deer's head left.
Oh.
It's just kind of sitting there. It's actually kind of sad. It's not.
That is sad.
Yeah.
This little looks like he's taking a nap.
Yeah.
Without his body.
Exactly. It's just kind of wah. It's not like there's blood sprawled anywhere. It's just kind of sitting there. It's kind of sad, actually. Yeah. Decapitated. Let me try again. A decapitated deer's head has been gruesomely dumped outside church in one of the UK's most scenic national parks, sending shockwaves through the community and sparking fears that Satanists may be behind the chilling act. The blood-curdling discovery was made outside St. Teresa's Church in Taunton, Hampshire, nestled in the heart of the stunning New Forest National Park. The animal's severed head was found ominously positioned next to an inverted cross, feeling even more unease. Police were called to the scene last week after the deer's head was placed in front of the church for the public to see. The eerie find comes just 1 month after another deer's head was discovered outside St. Michael's and All Angels Church in nearby Lyndhurst, raising suspicions that a sinister pattern is emerging. Reverend Canon Simon Trelaw of St. Teresa's Church said, "If they really want to impress me, leave me a couple of pounds of venison sausages." I guess that'd impress him, wouldn't it?
Lacey has a good sense of humor about it.
Right. He said, "I suppose a pig's head would have been more useful, but you could at least cook with that. But I'm not quite sure what to do with a deer's head," he went on to say. Hampshire and Isle of Wight Constabulary said they were called to the church following a report of the animal carcass. It has since been removed and inquiries are ongoing. I'm just waiting for the rest of the story to load here. I'll tell you this much, Jess, as we're waiting for the story to update here. I'll tell you why I'm a little skeptical. And it sounds like amateurs to me. Because a real quote-unquote Satanist wouldn't run around to either targeted churches or random churches and just leave animal parts on a church's doorstep. A real Satanist, especially with an inverted cross, a real Satanist is more of a political belief and less of a, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a religious belief to a point there, but there's not the need to strike out against a church, right?
They're not trying to shock and scare people. They're just doing their thing in their own space. Right.
And even though there is do what thou will or wilt, there's not, the idea is not to go out and harm others. It's to practice what you practice, but not to harm while doing so. So whoever is getting their jollies by, desecrating animals and dropping them on the front step of churches, it's not necessarily whether it be the Church of Satan or Satanic Temple, one or the other, that's not their way to do that.
No, it's probably more likely teenagers trying to be creepy,
right?
Like to freak people out.
Right, exactly. Now, the New Forest has long been shrouded with eerie stories of suspected satanic worship and animal killings, according to this article that I'm reading from, which is from the Daily Star overseas. In May of 2024, a flock of sheep were mutilated and killed, as well as a deer's head being left on top of a headstone. In January of 2023, pig hearts were found on top of a Bronze Age mound, surrounded by 30 candles on Stagberry Hill in the New Forest. Locals have taken to patrolling areas of the national park to ward off potential Satanists, as they fear animal sacrifice is part of their rituals. Satanism is a religious or countercultural practice, it says here, system of beliefs that has Satan as a central figure. Now, again, I point this out, not that I'm defending Satanism by any means, don't get me wrong, but again, to be educated about it, and that's what we do here. We educate, entertain, enlighten. A typical Satanist does not drop animal parts on a church step and doesn't go out and threaten people with animal parts, and they certainly don't inflict their views on anyone either. It's not how they operate. So this is more than likely just teenagers trying to get a jolly or a thrill.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. So there you go. All right, let's move on to the next story. Burst of brain activity after death could be the soul leaving the body. New story out there from a leading psychologist. They say they've identified an unusual burst of brain activity that occurs after a patient has died. Now, the question is posed, do we each possess a soul that persists after we die, or is consciousness produced entirely within the physical brain? It's a question that scientists, psychologists, and philosophers have been attempting to definitively answer for centuries, in a conundrum that we seem to be no closer to solving, at least according to this article. That said, Dr. Stuart Hameroff, a professor of anesthesiology and psychology at the University of Arizona, believes that he may be closer than most to finding an answer. Back in 2009, researchers at George Washington University placed small sensors in the brains of patients deemed to be clinically dead just before their life support machines were turned off. Surprisingly, they recorded unexpected brain activity, sometimes lasting up to 90 seconds, occurring after the patient had died. Dr. Hameroff now believes that this could be evidence of a soul leaving the body upon death. The research also suggests that consciousness may be the last thing that goes when we die. As the brain reaches a critical level of hypoxia, the action potential, an electrical signal that shoots down a neuron, lost by large numbers of neurons, and this loss of electrical potential causes a cascade of electrical act, the study researchers wrote. We offer this as a potential explanation for the clarity in which many patients have out-of-body experiences when successfully revived from a near-death event. But is this really evidence of a soul leaving the body, or simply the activity of a dying brain? Well, you're going to love this next line. We may never know for sure, is what the article goes on to say. I think we will know for sure eventually, probably in the next 20 to 25 years.
As science catches up with it.
Yeah, and if they take it seriously, take the research seriously. But I think eventually technology will catch up, and we'll know exactly what that is, what that response is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. That's cool that they've caught that little blip.
Yeah, that's for sure. But it's a matter of measuring it and figuring out energy transference and where that energy goes, right? And being able to follow it. And the other part of it too is if they can follow that energy into wherever it goes, knowing where that final place is that energy goes and where it is.
Right.
Yeah. And if you can
actually somehow get a visual of the energy after it's out of that physical body, is the next scientific step.
Yep. And if you can do that, then you probably have solved the mystery of the afterlife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite quotes, one of them, I have many, but one of my favorite quotes is from Albert Einstein. And he says, energy can not be created or destroyed. It just is. So we came from something and we go to something. And I believe that. So I think it's cool that science is getting closer, one step closer.
Yeah.
Understanding what that is.
Indeed. Indeed. Well, we all have interests, and sometimes those interests change. We've all had experiences, and those experiences change. Robbie Williams has been the only guy in the universe, I think, who's never changed up until now. Robbie Williams is trading UFO encounters for psychic experiences, as it turns out. The singer, whose life is told in the movie Better Man, has always had a fascination with the unexplained. Having found fame back in the 90s as a member of the band Take That, before going on to become a highly successful solo artist, Robbie Williams is certainly no stranger to being in the limelight. In addition to his singing career, he's also gained a lot of attention over the years for his paranormal stories, UFO sightings, in the general interest in all things unexplained. Back in 2020, for instance, it emerged that the best-selling singer based one of his most successful songs, Angels, on his experiences with the paranormal entities when he was a child. He was even in the running to purchase the infamous Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, a notorious hotspot for paranormal phenomena, as well as for sightings of strange creatures and UFOs. Since becoming a father, however, he admits that his experiences have mellowed somewhat. Speaking recently to hosts Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp on the Weaponized podcast, Williams declared that he hasn't had any encounters with UFOs for quite some time. Instead, he claims that he has seen an increase in potentially psychic moments in his day-to-day life. You think of people and they phone. You think of people and they email, he explained. A lot of this could be coincidence, but the rate that this is happening just recently, oh wow, you've got my attention. Williams himself is the subject of a new movie currently in cinemas, which is called Better Man, which tells the story of his life, but with the peculiar twist of him, or having him portrayed as an anthropomorphic ape. I have a hard time with that word sometimes. Anthropomorphic.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, ape. He maintains that the decision was down to him feeling less evolved than other people. That's why he made that movie. So there you go. All right. A couple of interesting stories here, Jess. One having to do with Egypt's pyramids, and the other with what a mummy smells like.
So much about smells today, Tim.
I know. We're getting rather graphic today. Just saying. A lot of theater of the mind, so to speak, going on today.
Yeah.
All right. The first one has to do with pyramids. Now, this isn't the first time I've heard this about pyramids being energy sources, and different types of energy sources are even working as batteries. But scientists are now discovering mysterious forms of energy in Egypt's pyramids that should only exist in modern times.
Ooh.
Okay. A new discovery in Egypt's Great Pyramid of Giza suggests the structure was not just a pharaoh's final resting place, but also a giant power plant. Now, actually, Mike Ricksecker said the exact same thing when he was on this program.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. Scientists blasted the 4,600-year-old structure with electromagnetic waves, a form of radiation that travels through the universe, finding it focused and amplified the energy into specific chambers and around the base. Electromagnetic waves are used in such research because the radiation interacts with matter in unique waves, allowing experts to probe specific details around and about a structure's composition, arrangement, and dynamics. The waves built up energy in the king's chamber, the queen's chamber, and an unfinished chamber beneath the structure. Scientists concluded that the pyramid may have been a gigantic resonator that was designed to trap electromagnetic waves. Retired aerospace engineer Christopher Dunn, who has spent years analyzing the pyramid, recently shared that research. Like this suggests there was a greater purpose behind the building and its structure. Speaking on the Joe Rogan Experience in April of 2024, Dunn said that the northern shaft of the pyramid has an appearance similar to a tube-like structure used to transmit microwaves and electromagnetic energy. That's a part of the theory in the Giza power plant, he said. There are two chemicals that are introduced into the chamber, and the chemicals mix, and they boil off hydrogen to create energy. As for the purpose of turning this structure into a giant clean energy power plant, scientists of the study said it's still a mystery, but the Egyptians may have been much more advanced than anyone ever thought. I don't think there's any part of that pyramid that did not serve a practical function, Dunn told Rogan. Dunn spent 30 years conducting computer analysis of the pyramids, landing on the theory that the ancient Egyptian builders had access to highly refined tools, modern construction techniques, and even mega machines, despite there being no archaeological record of their use. The 2018 study conducted by researchers from ITMO University in Russia focused on the response of the pyramid to waves with wavelengths between 656 and 1968 feet, a range commonly associated with radio frequencies. Researchers modeled the pyramid as if it were an enormous environment, meaning they ignored external factors like the Earth's atmosphere or the surrounding landscape, and then examined how the pyramid interacted with incoming waves. They also conducted their electromagnetic experiments under a more realistic condition in which the pyramid was sitting on top of a limestone surface, similar to its actual location on the Giza Plateau. The results revealed that the internal structure of the pyramid, including its three chambers, can gather and focus electromagnetic energy received from these waves. In their theoretical models, when the waves of these specific frequencies interacted with the pyramid, they excited what scientists call multiple resonances. These are patterns of electromagnetic activity that depend on the shape and material of the object that they're colliding with. The study showed that the King's Chamber, located near the center of the Great Pyramid, concentrated electromagnetic energy more effectively than the other chambers. In the more realistic scenario, where the pyramid sits on limestone substrate, the electromagnetic energy focused underneath the structure, suggesting that the base of the pyramid could have played a critical role in distributing energy. Dunn claimed the Queen's Chamber was a reaction chamber, where the hydrogen was produced. The hydrogen filled the interior spaces of the Great Pyramid, which included the King's Chamber, he told Rogan. As for what the Great Pyramid was collecting and what it was gathering for, Dunn noted that the Earth is constantly bombarded by microwaves, possibly from atomic hydrogen, dating all the way back to the Big Bang itself. Interestingly, the ancient Egyptians would not have been able to pour hydrogen atoms into the pyramid. So Dunn theorizes that they would have used two separate chemicals poured down the shafts into the Queen's Chamber, which mix and then boil off hydrogen particles, triggering the energy resonance. As for what those chemicals would have been and how the ancient Egyptians would have known to do all this is unclear. Meanwhile, the Russian researchers believe that there are some real-world practical applications that come from their discovery in Giza. Using what they learned from the Great Pyramid, the ITMO team said their next goal was to design their own nanoparticles that could recreate the same effects in the radio frequency range. Those tiny particles, in theory, could help discover new sensors and highly effective solar cells. So the pyramids might really just be a big power plant.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. I'd heard one time from a friend who was studying this sort of thing that there was so much more technology back in that time than we're aware of.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of seems to kind of support that theory.
And a lot of it has to do with magnetic frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the question, like, how do they know how to do that? Well, how do we know how to do all the stuff that we know how to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
mm-hmm.
mankind just figures things out. And I think it's very possible that there was more advanced technology that just got lost to time that we're not aware of.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I don't want to know what technology was used in this, Jess, but researchers reveal what ancient mummies actually smell like. It's time to put on your smell-o-vision caps, kids, because we're going into another pyramid. Pictures can tell us a lot about the mysteries of the ancients, but smell tends to be a lot more difficult to convey. Cecilia Bembibre says that when we see objects in museum display cases, it often doesn't tell us the whole story. One thing that tends to get ignored or even lost in the conversation process is the smell. Maybe that's a good thing. Just saying. We lose a lot of valuable information as a result, such as how the object was produced or how it functioned. Her field is called sensory heritage, which relates to how we engage with heritage objects with senses other than vision. As part of it, she develops methods to identify and preserve culturally significant smells. For example, she's worked with St. Paul's Cathedral to recreate the scent of its library. I don't know. What do you think of the smell of old books?
Oh, I love the smell of old books.
Yeah.
It's a stink, but it's a stink that I like.
There you go. That's a very interesting sentence. So she's worked with St. Paul's Cathedral to recreate the scent of its library to ensure that it can be experienced by future generations. She was also part of an EU-funded project called, I believe it's Odd Europa, which worked with computer scientists and historians to tell the stories of smells from 300 years of European history. With help from some perfumers, they brought back smells such as 17th century Amsterdam, with its canals and linden trees. As a result, for example, visitors to Museum Ulm in southern Germany can experience our olfactory interpretations for 10 of the paintings on display. Her latest project delves much further into the past. She was asked by the University of, I believe this is Ljubljana, in association with the University of Krakow and the Egyptian Museum in Cairo to help with a study of mummified bodies. Ljubljana was studying a mummified body in the National Museum in Slovenia and had been invited to extend its research to some mummified bodies in Cairo. The strict guidelines about studying these bodies stipulate that researchers must use techniques that are not destructive. One way is to see what can be learned by smelling, which is why she joined the project, led by Professor, I believe this is Matija Stria, and PhD researcher Emma Powlin. They studied 9 mummified bodies at the Egyptian Museum, 4 of which were on display and 5 in storage. They span different time periods, with the oldest being from 3,500 years ago. They were also conserved in different ways and stored in different places, so they give a different representation of all the mummified bodies in different collections around the world. She put together a team of 8 expert sniffers, of which she was one. Some are specialists who she's worked with on different projects, while some are colleagues from the Egyptian Museum who were given smell training in advance. She wanted them on the panel because they're so familiar with smells in question. They all began, doing chemical analysis to ensure the bodies were safe to smell, since in prior decades they were treated with synthetic pesticides to keep them preserved. Several bodies had high concentrations of these pesticides, which could potentially be carcinogenic, so these were removed from the study. With the remaining 9, they slightly opened the sarcophaguses to insert little pipes and extract quantities of air. A measured volume of this air went into special bags, which they took into a room away from display areas, so she and other sniffers, I like the term, could experience them nose on.
Clever.
Okay. More air was captured inside these metal tubes containing a polymer that traps the volatile organic compounds, so they could be studied in a laboratory at the University of Ljubljana. This air was subjected to various chemical analysis to see which compounds were present, and also separated into constituent parts using chromatography. There we go, chromatography. So that we sniffers could experience and describe each smell individually. While it was hard work, they usually took turns to sit on the end of a special machine with an outlet known as an olfactory port.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. They spend 15 to 20 minutes experiencing one smell after another, having to quickly describe them and rate their intensity. And it could be as much as one smell every second, which can be overwhelming, hence the taking of turns by each person. She was more excited at the prospect of discovering something new then nervous about what it would be like to smell these ancient bodies. However, you'd be forgiven for thinking that these odors would not be agreeable. From the accounts of archaeologists to movies such as The Mummy, mummified bodies are associated with foul smells. Yet surprisingly, here's the payoff, Jess. The smells were quite pleasant.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Yeah. The sniff team's descriptions included woody, floral, sweet, spicy, stale, and resin-like. Yeah. She says that we were able to identify ancient embalming ingredients, including conifer oils, frankincense, myrrh, and cinnamon.
I suppose that would smell good. Yeah.
Like a big potpourri.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in that case, put them in a dish and let's put them on the back of the toilet. Just saying. She said we also identified degraded animal fats used in the mummification process, the human remains themselves, and both synthetic pesticides and benign plant-based pest oils that had more recently been used by the museum for preservation.
Fascinating. I would have thought it was more of like a stinky cheese meets the inside of my dirty slippers smell.
Ew. She says bodies in display cases had a stronger scent than those in storage, but none was as strong as, say, a perfume. Surprisingly, one smelled distinctly of black tea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When you smell a body from a millennia ago, you certainly don't expect to be transported back to your kitchen. The other sniffers agreed about the tea smell, and we later established that the source was probably a chemical called cryophyllene. Interesting. So there you go. They're working on.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, they're working on other mummified bodies now, but yeah, but that's essentially what a mummy smells like.
I hope somebody smells me when I die.
You may have some takers that are listening to this podcast right now, Jess. I'm just saying.
I mean, don't kill me to smell me. I'm just saying.
Right? Yeah. No.
100,000 years from now.
Yeah. They'll take a whiff of you. Yeah, just saying. We'll put that request in for you. This next story has to do with a bizarre real-life flying car that can fly right over the top of traffic jams. I actually have a picture here for you to see. Okay. This thing looks kind of funky. Look at that.
Oh my gosh. Is that real?
That's real.
No way.
Yeah, look at that.
That's like 5 feet off the ground.
Yeah. Coming to a vehicle showroom near you.
I'm not going to be driving it, I can tell you that.
This remarkable aerial vehicle is capable of driving on the road and then taking off into the wild blue yonder. It seems that companies have been vowing to deliver on the promise of flying cars for decades now. We thought we would have had it by now. But the latest prototype by, I believe it's Aleph Aeronautics, is perhaps the closest thing that we've had to the real deal so far. The car certainly looks unusual, almost like something out of a 1960s Jerry Anderson TV series, with an all-black design and centralized cockpit where the driver and passengers will be situated. The first footage of it in action, which we'll have a link to it in the description of this program, so you can click on it and see it for yourself, was released recently, and it does look quite impressive. While previous videos exist of cars driving and using a runway to take off, videos of tethered flights and eVTOL flying taxis taking off, this is the first publicly released video of a car driving and taking off vertically. So it just lifts off the ground, Jess, and then boom.
That's wild.
Like the Jetsons.
Yeah, just like we imagined.
Yep. According to CEO Jim Duchovny, the car's controls take a mere 15 minutes to learn. That's it. Just 15 minutes and you can drive a flying car. This drive and flight test represents an important proof of technology in a real-world city environment, he said. We hope it will be a moment similar to the Wright brothers Kitty Hawk video, proving to humanity that new transportation is possible. But is the vehicle truly a car? That's what they want to know. While it can drive and act like a car on the road, in the air it operates more like a drone with a series of 8 propellers providing lift and steering. Tell you what, we'll put the video up in the description of this program, and you can decide, is it a car or a drone when you're flying?
Yeah. What do you think?
I think it's a little more drone than car.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a drone you can ride in.
That's right. It's a drone with wheels.
Yeah.
But it's still fun. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah, that's for sure. Our next mystery has to do with this camper right here in France. Just take a look at how this guy ended up like that.
Oh, no, that defies gravity.
Doesn't it?
It's like at an angle. It looks like it's not quite done falling over.
Right. Like it almost made it upside down.
That's crazy.
Like it tried to do with what that airplane did in Toronto by going completely upside down, but didn't quite make it. Like it's almost on its roof, but not quite.
Stuck midair.
Yep. Police in Western France were left scratching their heads when they were called out to attend the scene. The bizarre spectacle, which was photographed by police officers near the city of Saint-Malo at the weekend, saw the camper van not only turned upside down, but somehow suspended partially in the air with its front end stuck in a ditch and its rear end resting against overhead cables. The spectacular accident occurred this afternoon at the commune of Saint-Melois de Onde, I believe. Onde? Yeah. The police department wrote on Facebook, driver and passengers not present. If they read this or read us, we sincerely hope they are well. We suspect intercession of the saint in question, they said. According to witnesses, the driver and two other people had fled the scene after the accident. Exactly how the vehicle ended up in such a ridiculous position remains unclear. The driver of the tow truck, who was called out to retrieve the camper van, couldn't believe his eyes. I've never, ever seen anything like it in my 22-year career, he was quoted as saying. Investigations remain ongoing as far as that's concerned. One more story here, and then we have our palate cleanser for today, and we're done for the day. A weird optical illusion shows what looks like small dinosaurs in Guatemala. Now, if I were to show you this picture, Jess, you would tell me that's what kind of dinosaur?
Oh, I can't think of the name of it, but the one that gets giant and has big feet and a long neck. Oh my God, what's it called?
Does that look like a stegosaurus or a?
Thank you.
Yeah.
My son would be so ashamed of me.
But it looks like a little stegosaurus yeah.
It does.
Yeah. Like they're out there roaming in the countryside, like little tiny stegosauruses.
Adorable.
The viral clip shows what appears to be long-necked dinosaurs roaming around next to some ruins. These days, you can never quite believe what you see, especially online, which is why the short viral video, which recently racked up over 2 million views, requires more than a brief glance to fully appreciate. It was filmed next to some ruins in Guatemala, and it shows a number of small creatures roaming around in the grass. Now, what makes it weird, however, is the fact that these creatures, with their long curved necks, bear an uncanny resemblance to, it's a brachiosaur. Not a stegosaur, it's a brachiosaur. Your son would be disappointed in me, too.
I mean, we're just both disappointments to him right now.
Yeah. And the Science Museum of Minnesota would be disappointed as well. They're long-necked sauropod dinosaurs of the Jurassic era. And Steven Spielberg would be disappointed in us as well. Yeah. Obviously, this would be impossible given their tiny size. So what actually was going on down there? Well, it turns out that the reason the video looks weird is because the uploader has reversed the image. In actual fact, the video shows more than a group of Cotis, which is a small type of mammal roaming around on the grass with their tails in the air. Oh, that's weird. Okay. With the footage reversed, the tails appear to be at the front of their bodies and look like necks. Oh, so you have to turn it upside down.
Yeah. Oh, that is really trippy.
Yeah, it is. Weird. Okay. It's a neat and simple illusion, and one that has certainly managed to attract a lot of attention online. I tell you what, we'll post this video itself too, so you can check that out. All right, here's your palate cleanser for today, Jess. Chicago's got a new viral sensation. Guess what? There's a big beaver running around in Chicago.
Wait. A big beaver.
There's a big naked beaver running around Chicago.
I'm going to put some pants on it.
And Chicago's loving that big beaver, if you know what I mean. And they want to name it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, everyone should name their beaver.
Well, when you discover you got a big beaver, you want to give it a nickname.
Bertha.
Bertha the big beaver?
Yeah.
And Chicago needs a nickname for that big beaver. They at one time had Chance the Snapper.
Which I love.
Yep. And they had piping plovers, Monty and Rose. Chicagoans love to name their animals, but a new furry friend captivating the city online is without one. Environmental nonprofit Urban Rivers hopes to change that. The organization is seeking the public's help in naming the Southside semi-aquatic rodent that has gone viral on social media. The unnamed beaver lies along the Chicago River. Sammy Clark, beaver researcher. Yes, that's a position, by the way. Beaver researcher with...
Be Sammy Clark when I grow up.
You want to be Sammy Clark when you grow up? You want to research beavers?
You do.
I think they call that something else in the medical community. Sammy Clark, beaver researcher with Urban Rivers, joined WGN's Evening News at 6 on Tuesday to discuss the contest and the uptick of beaver sightings. Though many suspect the beaver to be pregnant, you know what?
I'm sorry, but the 12-year-old boy inside of me can't stop laughing every time you say beaver.
You know how they discovered the beaver was pregnant?
How?
Because all the Haagen-Dazs is missing out of the area supermarkets. Just saying. Clark insists that researchers are unsure if the rodent is male or female. Well, then why would you think the beaver's pregnant? So you're going to discriminate against the fat guy beaver?
So they just, because it's fat, they assume it's pregnant. That's so insulting.
I know, right? Shame on you. What if it is female and just fat?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I once had someone ask me when I was due and I was not pregnant.
Really?
I'd already had the baby and I was freshly just had the baby in my defense. What? I felt so bad because he was being so nice and he's like, "Oh, when are you due?" I'm like, "I had her 3 weeks ago."
Oh! How bad did they backtrack? Did they stumble over themselves and fall over?
Yeah, he felt bad.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
So I feel this beaver's pain right now.
I get it. I get it. Why do people even say stuff like that anyways? When are you due?
I don't know. They think they're being nice, but they're really not.
No, it's horrible. It's a horrible question. Seeing this individual looking so plump, especially this time of year, gives us hope that it could be the female. It says that it could be the female pregnant again, Clark said. Oh, look at Clark is all happy. By the way, I have a picture of our plump little beaver right here.
Oh.
I just heard a lot of guys' ears.
I love it.
Yeah. Look at that, huh? It's the first time I've ever shown my beaver on camera. There it is right there.
Well, I'm glad I get to witness this.
Yeah, well, for you, Jess, anything. A beaver has gone viral on social media in Chicago. The public's being asked to name it. Oh, there you go. I'm just read you the caption under the thing. Beaver juveniles stay with their parents for up to 2 years. Just figured Clark would let you know that. They told that to WGN's Ray Cortopassi. And we have been seeing a number of different beavers of various sizes here. So yes, it's been exciting to watch. They love seeing beavers of different sizes, I guess.
This is great. I love this guy. I cannot believe this is his job.
Well, Urban Rivers official research began last September. Clark says that the nonprofit has seen various beaver sightings since 2022, but is the population of beavers growing? It's a little too early to say, Clark added. Need to do more research. Oh.
Can we get beaver researcher t-shirts?
Yeah, yes. Official Darkness Radio Beaver Researcher shirts.
Yes, please.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We'll have them made up. Too sweet. By the way, Clark says they are breeding in the area. The beavers are. And we hope to see more of that this year. Wink, wink.
Bet you do, Clark.
Yeah. Hopefully in about a year or so, we'll have some published information for people to follow along with. But will you be able to smell it? That's what I want to know. See, I brought it on full circle. See what I did there?
Well done.
As for the naming contest, some unique Chicago-centric names are already catching on, such as Damn Ryan.
Oh, I like it.
See? And Sigourney Beaver. Still, Clark asks anyone interested to share their beaver names on Urban River's social media pages and other digital platforms. Got any beaver names?
Boy, I don't.
No? I mean, because, Beaver Cleaver's been overdone.
Yeah, you can't use that one.
No.
Yeah, I like Sigourney Beaver. That's really cute.
Sigourney Beaver is a good one. Yeah.
That'd be my choice.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think
Little
it's hard
Ghostbusters nod.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that one. I mean, you don't want to beat your beaver. I mean, especially in front of everybody.
I mean, unless you do want to beat your beaver, maybe you do. I don't know.
Wow, that's very aggressive, Jess. Easy.
Each their own, Tim. We're not judging you here, guys and gals.
That's right. I mean, unless that's your thing, and then beat away. But there's that. Yeah. So that's your palate cleanser today, so to speak. I mean, smell all you want, just don't cleanse your palate with it, so to speak. I don't know what that means.
Oh, Tim.
I know. I've gone too far. One joke over the line, sweet Jesus. One joke over the line.
One little skip and a hop.
Yep. All right. On tomorrow's big program. We can change gears real quick here. We're going to be talking about near-death experience in ancient civilizations, the origins of the world's afterlife beliefs, with our guest, Gregory Shushin.
That sounds so fascinating.
PhD. He's a doctor.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He's a doctor.
He's a doctor. Dr. Greg. We're going to talk to him about afterlife beliefs in ancient Egypt, Sumeria, I believe India and ancient China.
Ooh.
And what it was that these ancient civilizations saw and how they treated the afterlife experience and how it translated in their languages as opposed to even the Christian language, and why they saw what they saw and how we know what they saw was accurate and why we see what we see and how they saw it from not necessarily a religious point of view, but from a neutral point of view. So we're not looking at things from a religious standpoint here. We're looking at it from a neutral point of view, and I'll explain more on tomorrow's program. It's a fascinating book, folks. Again, Gregory Shushin, PhD, is our guest tomorrow. We're talking near-death experience in ancient civilizations, the origin of the world's afterlife beliefs.
Very interesting. I can't wait.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good conversation tomorrow. So, Jess, what do we got going on in your world?
Just books, Tim. Just lots of books. So if you want to get books, you can find them on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. You can find them on my website. Connect with me on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Always love connecting with you guys.
Very good. Very good. All right. All right. So a couple of notes for you. Missouri Paracons this weekend. I'll be out at Missouri Paracon in Kansas City. Come see me if you're in the area. Come say hi. I'll shake some babies and kiss some hands. There's that. There are day passes available Be sure to check the Missouri Paracon website. I think I can still put up a link for you if you want to check that link at darknessradioshow.com. But please come out to Missouri Paracon this weekend. Say hi. Let's see. What else? Oh, yes. Check out darknessradioshow.com as well for the store. New stuff in the store. Be sure to check that out. The Apple app, please, if you don't have a place where you're regularly subscribed to the show, check out the Darkness Radio Apple app. If you have an iPhone, if you have an iPad, however you're listening to the show on Apple, and you want a regular place to subscribe and get your downloads, use the Darkness Radio app. We encourage you to use the Darkness Radio app. It's a wonderful app. Also, if you're listening to this show on audio and you'd like to see the video of the show, we make reference to the video a lot, and you're not quite clear as to where to get the video. We're the original Darkness Radio on YouTube. You can either subscribe to us on YouTube, and we'd like you to do that as well. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Or if you're having a hard time finding us on YouTube, simply go to darknessradioshow.com and click on videos. You'll find us there. You'll find the latest video there. Or just go to the episode that you're listening to right now on darknessradioshow.com. The audio and video is right there on that episode, right there together. And click on the video. It'll take you to the YouTube page. Like and subscribe the video. You're on your way. So we'd appreciate it if you do both. So thank you so much, folks. We appreciate you listening. We encourage you, if you like the shows and you like what you're hearing, to tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a phone, however this thing goes, and keep the word going about Darkness Radio. So we appreciate it. Also a reminder that the executive producer of today's program, Darkness Radio, is Troy Palmer. Troy, we want to thank you for everything you do for the program. So thank you very much, Troy. Again, Troy Palmer, executive producer of today's show, Darkness Radio. So I think it's going to do it, Jess. I think we're done for today.
That was a good one. I had fun.
Yeah, it was a good time. I got to get that smell-o-vision thing out of my head, but other than that, I think we're ready to go for today. So again, Gregory Shushin tomorrow on the big program, Near-Death Experiences in Ancient Civilizations. You got that coming up tomorrow on the big show. For Jessica Freeburg, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for listening and watching the best in paranormal programming. This is Darkness Radio.